working with Mexico is an entirely different dynamic. We can work in real time. We can implement agile development models. We can leverage the collaboration that Cisco as a company really drives as a differentiator. We can do a 24-hour continuous development cycle. These are things we haven't been able to do effectively with this global model. One of the things is if I need to, and we've heard this a lot, if I need to go down to one of our sites in India, I have to get on a plane, I have to fly for 23 hours, I'll spend an average of 13 days there, and then I come back. I can't do a hit and run, and I can't see what's going on in the factory in 4 hours. Mexico offers us the opportunity to do all of these things.
I think the way for Mexico to be global is through the US. And I want to stress, if you are a Mexican provider company here, and you want to talk to buyer side folks, please talk in English. When I had the center in Mexico and the people came in, I would speak for 10 or 15 minutes in Spanish, and I would tell them, esas van a ser las últimas palabras en español que van a escuchar por mi parte. ¿Por qué? No es que no it's not because, these were the last words I was going to say in Spanish, it's not because I don't have respect for you, it's not because I don't have respect for your country or your culture, it's because I see all of you as future leaders. And when you're up on the global stage, I don't know why, English is an important language. It's the one that the world speaks. And so I was the only English-speaking person there, but the whole idea, the whole objective was to improve everyone's English. And I've got some papers here on the Mexican cultural script if you're ever going to interview Mexicans. Happy to share this with you. This is I'm not trying to sell anything. I just have a personal heart for Mexico and wanting to see things work here. But getting people to globalize Mexico and increasing the English capabilities is paramount. And if you don't speak English very well, your US clients are going to understand.
What are the processes that allow you to become reliable day in and day out, which is very important. I could not stress that enough. I mean, we need to be reliable. We are in the trust business. I mean, they will not, somebody from the CIO office will not get fired if they outsource something to IBM, right, or Infosys, for example. But they would fire if he took a risk with a mid-tier company in Mexico and that didn't play well. So we need to invest in skills, in processes, in marketing efforts, because we're selling Mexico at the end of the day as well. So there are some aspects there. But I have to say that, yes, aligning with large corporations, investing in quality, investing in processes and methodologies, Agile plays very well to nearshore. And I think I see that a lot. And I see that a lot of our current customers are now obviously going more into Agile with us. And at the end of the day, it's also about a total cost of ownership as well. So it's not about labor arbitrage. I think that Mexico can become global by understanding that. It's not about labor per se, it's about a total cost of ownership.
We are understanding the game. Human capital, global, etc., etc. But in the government side, we are understanding the game as well. 11 reforms, articulation, strong leadership on give value to the things in a teamwork. That's what I say. So that's why we're challenging ourselves. We are breaking taboos, not only on the government, but also in the other side, in the private sector as well. I think that's the main point.
I truly believe, as Raul said, that both the government and the private sector are doing something right. We're on the right path. We have to accelerate the velocity that we're working on. But part of our job from the private sector and what Mexico IT is doing through Guillermo is trying to accelerate, to mature, and to evolution the whole Mexican IT industry as a whole, and trying to get the platform of correct competitiveness and all the incentives in order to put things in place in order to work things out.
With Mexico, I would wonder, and I want to ask the two of you about this, whether there are some states or investment agencies that say, okay, we're going to put our energy into manufacturing, because we know we're going to get 15,000 jobs in the next year or two, and they're going to hire people who are fluent in attracting that kind of thing. Are you concerned about that? Is there an issue sometimes where attention's paid on the manufacturing side and not enough on the issue of IT? And when we talk about IT, as we say, you've got to understand this language of IT and Agile and the needs of the international business and how to convince the CFO that Mexico is a good place to come. So what are your thoughts there?
We already understand that it's intrinsic to the whole sector of the economy. Obviously, as I said, we have 15 sectors focus on. But we know that we have to at least get a platform of IT adoption in the whole economy, because the game is, that's the game. So, we're focused on IT much more now as a transversal to the whole economy than ever before. Not only for the sake, but for the users' IT, for the adoption, and for prepare the whole platform to rise the game. So I see IT, and IT is considered in this innovation program as the transversal, but it's
a horizontal.
It's in law. It's basically put it as a law right now, as a decree. So we have this horizontal, but also we have IT as a vertical. So we understand the game on IT.
When somebody comes to pitch Mexico as a place to go, they say, you know, we've got excellent resources, excellent universities, we've got good co-location to you. And people say, well, so what? You know, we're getting much better cost arbitrage offshore. We'll still get the work done for less if we go offshore. And what I really was interested in doing coming here was helping you make the case. So our business models are changing. We're moving to a consumption-based model. Our cycle times are changing. We need to be able to produce capabilities much faster than we could before. This isn't about killing India so much as really becoming global companies. So when we need high-touch engagement with resources, we need to work more locally. It's very difficult. We see employee engagement go down and burnout in the teams, and then that drives up our attrition rates, and then we have to train more people. It's a huge hassle.
You know, you're doing a project, why? Because you expect some return on investment. Well, let's shorten the time, the whole notion of cycle time reduction. People forget about that. Oh, how much is it going to cost? Well, how much is it going to cost you if we delay it 6 months? And by the way, if I send the wrong requirements to India, they're going to interpret it perhaps in a way that I don't want them to interpret that. Right? So you actually lose time. So you have the whole quality and the whole burnout. And I've been around that.
Let's talk about the DHL model.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's not fun. And like you said, when I got clients to come to Mexico, they signed a contract. And the interaction between the folks was stupendous. People would call me and say, well, we want to start a project. I guess it'll be a couple of weeks before you can get people here. I'm like, you're not familiar with NAFTA? Where have you been? What time is it? 10 o'clock in the morning? I can get them there this evening. Will that work? In the 70s, if you buy IBM, you don't lose your job. You're outsourcing? Oh, okay, when is it all going to India? That's everyone's immediate thought. And when I told people, well, I had a center in Mexico. Oh, you had a call center? No. Mexico has wonderful bilingual call centers, but it's also a freaking powerhouse in IT. Really? I didn't know. Why not? Have you ever talked to anyone that's worked or done business there? And it's extremely frustrating. It's that conservative nature in U.S. business. And I'll tell you, if you're a Mexican provider, to break through that, bring people to your center. Again, I can't stress more than enough. Everybody in the center that I had, when you have clients here, go talk to them. John, mi inglés no está tan bueno. Yeah, no, your English is perfect. You speak wonderful English. They're going to appreciate the fact that you're talking to them, but they're really more going to appreciate animal, right? I mean, people would come and visit. Everybody in the center would get up and talk. Everyone. And once people had that convivio, that experience together with people, they're like, these guys are asking me intelligent questions. Some I planted, a lot of them I didn't, and I was like, wow, that's a really good question. I would like to take credit for that. I didn't do it. That was totally from this guy, right? I mean, and I was, I'm running the center. Of course, I'm trying to sell my services, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm on a gold mine. I have people that have an incredible work ethic, that are smart, ingenious, who like to work as a team, and this thing should sell itself.
Give us a sense, Mark, of where Cisco was maybe a year or two ago and where they are now relative to openness to Mexico and advancing on the IT side.
Yeah, so we're really thinking in terms of the idea of right shoring. So for the particular body of work that we're getting involved in, what's the right place to have that? What's going to give us the customer intimacy to get the work done? And if it really is the right thing to send offshore because there's low contact needed, great, we'll still take advantage of that opportunity. But if we would benefit from doing it locally, today we do it in San Jose or RTP. That's the most expensive model we can be in.
And have you been in situations where you have to battle down the stereotype, where you have to say, no, wait a minute, what do you really...
Oh God, when I was coming here, everybody was like, ooh, it's going to be safe. I was like, it's a lot safer than Detroit. So
RTP, right?
I would say Mexico needs, and I know that there is already to some degree some advertising going on, but there needs to be a business advertising blitz. Mexico's got to show up on CNN and Fox and everywhere that they get sort of run down, they got to show up in the places where people are watching, and we've got to change the perspective.
We had a global customer that were pitching different centers. One was in Mexico with us, Dextra, and we were competing against China and other regions, a testing, a QA project, and it was really about outcome-based outsourcing. It's really about delivering a certain product at a certain cost or volume of testing at a certain cost. And when you focus on that, then it becomes even irrelevant where you are. And I can say that our operation was as competitive in terms of cost as China, but of course being near where they were actually really made it important. So kind of going, Tim, to your question is, I think that at the end of the day, this kind of models where you're more focused on outcome at a certain cost, with the right incentives and the right processes and what have you, we can be as competitive as many regions that initially you would say we won't be able to compete because of labor or what have you. But when you add everything involved, Mexico can be as competitive. That's my take.
I want to chime in on the accent issue. It's really, so for large global companies, at least for Cisco, it's really not one. We really press inclusion and diversity. And if you can communicate somebody, kind of think of ourselves as in a post-grammarian world. If you can get the message across, we work with people in China and India and Australia and everywhere else, and it's amazing we can communicate with each other at all. But we kind of got through that, and so I don't think that that's a barrier to entry. I think you have to accept that we're looking to understand, and if we can get understanding across, it's really not going to limit me working with anywhere, And the other thing you see is, and you saw this in India particularly, is as we start to work more with each other, we started to see a normalization in the way people talk. Sort of common lexicon and common ways of communicating. So that will work itself out. Even if it's a short-term issue, don't worry about it. It'll take care of itself. I think we're really trapped in these global models. And I'll tell you, one thing that's hard for executives is they've made a big bet. We've built huge centers. When you come in and say, let's just pick up and shift to Mexico, they're like, well, we kind of spent $100 million. I'm going to look like an idiot if we do that. What I see right now is that if we don't move to a right shore model, then we're going to see our costs rise there, and we will not have done anything adaptive. We need to be looking a couple years down the road at where are we going to be if the market and the global economy continues the way it is. With the growth rate in India where it is, there's nowhere to go but up in terms of cost or down in terms of skills. So we have to be making the moves we're going to make now. in order to be in the right place 2 or 3 years from now.
So my point is, this whole global delivery model is getting very mature now, and obviously you've referenced India, China. So I would recommend that Mexico should put a stake in the ground for a type of service. Like Hungary actually is going after the BI market. They have developed skills in business intelligence. So I think if Mexico says, we're good in QA or testing or something else, I think that'll put the mark there. Otherwise, it'll become, Me Too.
It's interesting, again, the cycle time reduction. I used to talk about, the coefficient of friction in the work and the types that had high touch. Mark talked about agile. Testing is a wonderful one where you find something that's wrong and let's fix it now and not waste time, right? So work that you could serialize, do some in India, do some in Mexico. Again, you're going to shrink the cycle time to deliver that. But no, you're absolutely right.
I think too, you're likely to see a lot of just like Tech Mahindra has, a lot of companies are growing through adjacencies. They're finding partnerships with local companies in order to provide skills. I'm not so concerned about a Me Too thing, because really we're looking for a Me Too to a degree. We want the same skill sets near shore. But we want companies that have a differentiated value. So will they be providing us, again, thought leadership? What can they do in order to enable us to succeed going forward? Companies are trying to future-proof themselves. That's nearly impossible, but we look for partnerships that can help us see the road ahead a little bit more clearly and get there. And I think Mexico offers a lot of that.
Very good. I would just like to say in closing, we feel very strongly that setting up a conference like this is extremely important for both the international investor and for that group of people, particularly the Americans mainly, is, we're certainly here to help further that quest. If you said to me, Kirk, we're really interested in seeing Querétaro, Monterrey, Aguascalientes, we'll make it happen in a day with the relationships we have. But also at the same time, for the Mexican ecosystem, I think that there's still a lot of opportunity to get a better understanding, a grasp of how broad this industry is today. And I think that's one of the main things that we're trying to achieve with this conference. So I appreciate you for showing up and supporting us. And thank you, panelists. Well done.
Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you.